All right, as I mentioned off the top, what a week it's been. The week in which Kyrie Irving has dominated the headlines, apologizes for posting a video with false anti-Semitic statements after the Nets suspended him. The Nets suspended him for 5 games and included a really strong quote, David Gardner. The Nets say that Kyrie Irving at this time is not fit. Is not fit to be associated with the Brooklyn Nets. So, wow. That's probably one of the strongest statements a team can say about one of its players or one of its employees, for that matter. So as you kind of reflect on the week that was, David, and you think about Kyrie's situation, what stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the thing that's simultaneously frustrating and disappointing is that the statement that he finally released, the apology that he finally released on Instagram last night, if he had started with that, we could have avoided a lot of this mess. He could have avoided a lot of heartache for himself. But it's disappointing for me as a fan of Kyrie Irving, the basketball player, to know that for Kyrie Irving, the person, to apologize for promoting an anti-Semitic video, it took not only his teammates and his coach telling him, but also the commissioner of the NBA and the president of the Anti-Defamation League, who by all accounts he didn't even meet with at first. So I think it's just really a disappointing situation. And it makes you wonder, are there people around Kyrie Irving who can talk to him, who can tell him when he's in trouble with the things that he's saying? It doesn't seem like there's someone in his life that can say to him, Kyrie, you've really messed up here and you really need to do something about it. It takes so much pressure for him to just do the very basic minimum of apologizing. And I think that's sad.
Yeah, well, I think there probably are people around him who can tell him that. But I think that what I've seen from Kyrie Irving, I'm serious. Like what I've seen from him, David, is, and unfortunately, everybody knows somebody like this. You may not be close to somebody like this, but if they come up with it on their own, they're fine. If you tell them, if you even mildly kind of push them in a certain direction, they resist it. Like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm not going to do it. What, just because you told me to do it? Like, there's something that really, there's something activated in him. I'm going to psychoanalyze him for a second. There's something that's activated that when he's told that he's got to do something, particularly from what he sees as a corporate power or maybe a corporate pawn or whatever it is, he takes great exception to that. And so I saw one of your tweets and it made me laugh out loud. If we can laugh at the situation, you said, hey, if the Brooklyn Nets are waiting for Kyrie Irving to apologize, we may not see him the rest of the year. And I know maybe that's tongue planted in cheek, firmly in cheek. There's some truth to that, David. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I mean, what I was saying is that are there people that are around him that he's going to actually listen to? That's a great point that you're making. There are definitely people around him. He has a PR team. He has, trusted loved ones who are around him who undoubtedly over the past week have been saying, hey, you really need to reconsider the way that you're handling this situation. And he just may not be listening to them. I think it's definitely true. I think we all know the kind of person who Kyrie has at least been acting like in the last week, the kind of contrarian person who always wants to, be the smartest person in the room, who always wants to say, hey, if everybody's thinking about things one way, I'm going to think about it in a different way. And that alone makes me an intellectual. But really, that's not what would make someone an intellectual. You should question the mainstream narratives, right? But you should do it with evidence-based approaches. I mean, the video that he promoted had Adolf Hitler as the opening quote, and Adolf Hitler's name was spelled wrong. You don't have to be an intellectual to know that this is not something you should be sharing.
Yeah, and I think there should be more conversation about that, about the video itself, the video and the book. I think we're talking about Kyrie and how he's promoting these dishonest and these false tropes. And just like well-worn, just awful cliches, really, just hateful statements. But it goes back to the source. I mean, the source, like how well researched is that product? And like where are the citations there? Where are you coming up with this kind of stuff? And unfortunately, David, there's a lot of stuff out there that some people are just looking for answers to complex things in society. They're looking for simple answers to complex realities. And if they can find it somewhere, even if it's not founded, even if it's not supported, people are drawn to it because it gives them answers to a complex world. It's frightening. And I heard Rich Eisen say this on his show. He said it's frightening and scary, and I agree with him.
Yeah, and I think to your point earlier, too, there's a psychological phenomenon called the backfire effect, which is when people come and tell you that you're wrong about something, you actually have a tendency to double down on being right about this thing, even if it's obviously true that you're wrong, especially when it has something to do with your identity. And I think what's been difficult for Kyrie over these past, let's call it a year with the anti-vaccination campaign that he was on, and now with this, is that he certainly seems to be a person who's trying to find an identity for himself and is trying to understand himself in a new way. And he's going down some dark rabbit holes to get there. And that's the thing that I'd be worried about if I were a real close friend of his, is that he's trying to find something about himself, and he's looking in some really deep, dark places that I think hopefully, again, someone in his life is able to tell him, hey, man, this is not the place where you need to go looking.
Now, I know a lot of people talk about the NBA and say how it's a glamorous lifestyle. I bet you there are a lot of people would say, oh, I'd love to work for an NBA team and, get to watch basketball. You get great seats. You get to travel the country. You see great players, whether it's Kevin Durant or Giannis, LeBron, Ja Morant, all these great players. But I'll tell you, one of the worst NBA jobs, and I'm sure it's a decently paying job, but the worst job right now in the NBA is the PR director of the Brooklyn Nets. David, I'm sure that there's a PR person or PR persons who went to Kyrie and said, okay, this is how you should handle it. And then went to Kevin Durant and said, okay, they're going to ask you about Kyrie's suspension. This is how you should handle it. And both guys, whiffed. They whiffed. I mean, Kevin Durant, Kyrie is getting all the headlines, but how about Durant? Durant had to clarify a statement he made at shoot-around. You know the statement he made at shoot-around is? He's mad at everybody. Everybody handled it wrong. No, Kevin. No, they didn't. No, everybody didn't handle it wrong. Your buddy did.
Yep.
Kyrie handled it wrong. Now you're mad at the Brooklyn Nets? You're mad at the NBA? Are you mad at the ADL? Who are you mad at? Be mad at Kyrie. So I just feel for the PR people there because nobody listens to them. You agree with me?
Yeah, I think, 100%. And the thing is, it's different as you make that jump from college to the NBA, you make that jump from college to the NFL, because actually at the collegiate level, they're called sports information directors. Those guys actually do have some sway over the way that the players, behave. And that's because the players are on scholarship and there's a power imbalance. I don't agree that that's the way it should be in college sports. Those players are producing huge revenue for their schools, but nonetheless, it is the way. And they do have to listen to those SIDs. Now you get into a situation where the Nets PR guy, let's say he makes $100,000 a year. Is he going to tell Kevin Durant, who's worth $300 million, what he should say? And is Kevin Durant going to listen to that guy? If I'm Kevin Durant, I wouldn't listen to him. And I think Kevin Durant is sort of a thoughtful guy in general. Super disappointing to see him say something like that, because certainly many people, his own PR people and the Nets PR people, came up to him and they said, hey, you should say, I condemn the video. I condemn any form of anti-Semitism. It's not that hard to say. And just say, also, I feel for my friend Kyrie. I'm going to keep working on him. I'm going to keep talking to him. I hope he's back with the team because I love playing basketball with him. That's a 10-second quote that you can give, and you are out of hot water immediately. Instead, you try to do the whole, everybody's to blame here thing. No, as you were saying, not everybody is to blame. Kyrie Irving is to blame in this situation. It's okay to say that. He knows, at least by now.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question here, and this All right, this is a question that I'll start asking you on the show. It's so much bigger than the show. We need a lot more time to get to it, but let's see if we can just start this conversation. All right, so I won't tell you the year. Okay, I'll tell you the year. I don't mind. The year I decided that I knew I wanted to be a journalist was probably 1988. Okay, I will date myself. I don't mind. I was 18 years old. So I knew I needed to declare a major in 1988. I decided I wanted to be a journalist. And you know what, David? I never thought about money. Never thought of it. It didn't cross my mind. I just knew I wanted to do it. I loved to write. I loved to hear people's stories. And I never considered being a lawyer or finance or any of the big money professions. I just thought, okay, this is what I want to do. And I say all that because a lot of people like us in the media this is what we do. We go up to people, we talk to rich people in a lot of cases, and I don't think it really crosses our mind that they may be looking down on us because they're rich, and by and large, some in the media are, but by and large, we're not. We're doing this profession that they may not respect. Do you think that's part of the issue here with Kyrie, that he looks out at people, he looks at the microphones, he looks at people who are doing this job, and he just doesn't, he's not even arguing, he's not even defending his point, I feel like. Sometimes he's arguing with the media. It's almost like, how dare you question me, you people, how dare you people question me when I'm Kyrie Irving and you're making money off of me? It's like a weird dynamic. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's just like, I wonder if part of the problem is they just don't have respect for the paths that we've chosen.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a two-way street. I think that the classic example that always comes up is when you're asking a coach about X's and O's in the game, and they say, "Did you ever play the game?" And you say, "Well, no, I didn't have to play the game." But also, let's be honest, right. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's happening in a basketball game. If you study and if you pay attention, you can come to an understanding. I'm not going to say that I have an understanding at the same level as a Steve Nash or Kyrie Irving about the game of basketball, but you can start to understand it. But that's one of the ways that historically they've kind of condescended to the media. I do think that the power imbalance in terms of money is there. I do think that there's a weird relationship in terms of Kyrie understanding that these people are in part making money off of his, in this case, a downfall of a week. Like, there is a weird financial tension there too. And then I also think that the settings in which we talk to players tend not to be the kind of ones that are conducive to honesty and openness.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.